Welcome back to Fox 40 News at 11. I'm Sincere Tonsel. It has been 2 weeks and 2 days since the deadly breach of the U.S. Capitol, 2 days since the country got a new president. So what footing is America on now? We are live now with Republican Congressman Tom Mcclintock and Democratic Congressman John Garamendi, both, of course, from California. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Good to be with you.
Over and over again, President Biden has emphasized his focus on unity since being sworn in. Much of what he's done so far has all been about wiping much of the last administration's slate clean, stopping border wall construction, rejoining the Paris Climate Accord, just to name 2 items. So Congressman Mcclintock, since a lot of voters, 70 million or so, believe strongly in what President Trump had been doing, will Biden's moves feel unifying?
Well, no, I mean, I certainly liked his emphasis on unity in his inaugural address, but I think he undercut it when he seemed to imply that if you're not with him, you're a white supremacist, nativist, racist, extremist, domestic terrorist. I'm hoping that's not what he meant. I am deeply troubled by the avalanche of executive orders, and I don't see how workers are helped by flooding the labor market with another wave of illegal immigration. I don't see how families and workers are helped by canceling the Keystone Pipeline and killing thousands of jobs and making energy more costly for everybody. I don't see how workers are helped by re-entering the Paris Accords that are a major job killer, a major driver of energy prices, and put our nation in a terrible global economic disadvantage. I don't see how our nation's safer by reopening virtually unrestricted travel with hotbeds of international terrorism. I don't see how our communities are made safer by making it harder to deport criminal illegal aliens. So I'm deeply disturbed about the direction he's taking, even though I thought he set a pretty good tone at the inaugural address.
Congressman Garamendi, you just heard what your colleague had to say, your reaction to Biden's move and whether or not it is unifying, especially for the people like your colleague there who don't agree with some of the stances that he's taken right off the bat.
Well, we are really on a different track. We're on a different track completely. Biden's inaugural and his entire campaign was about pulling America back together again, about getting to the soul of America, setting things straight, being honest, straightforward, transparent. All of those things are in play. I don't expect Tom to agree with much of what Biden or I do. We never have had that kind of agreement. I could go through each one of his points and counter him. But the reality is that Biden is taking on the big problems of this nation immediately. The coronavirus pandemic, 400,000 people killed in less than 10 months. We have to get this under control. And his program is the first time the federal government has put together a comprehensive program. Everything from moving up the vaccination availability, the distribution, the vaccines, all of the the personal protective equipment, all of that stuff, using the power of the federal government, the Defense Production Act, that's underway. He's also working next week, Monday, a program that I've been working on for 10 years, which is Make It in America, rebuilding the American economy by using, by the federal government, buying American-made products, equipment, and all of the rest. All of that's underway. We're going to see a very different administration. And certainly there'll be policy differences. The border wall, that was money taken out of the national defense budget to be used to build the border wall. What Biden has done is simply say, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to spend that money on national defense. With regard to immigration, we're not opening the borders wide open. What he is actually doing is providing an opportunity for those men and women that have been here for years to be able to get into the line to become citizens, or at least have an appropriate green card. All of those things were done by Ronald Reagan years ago. Nothing new here.
Okay. On the matter of impeachment for former President Trump, we learned today Speaker Pelosi will send the article to the Senate Monday. Another unity issue, possibly. Gentlemen, your chamber has done its work on this. Will pursuing President Trump this way destroy the unity Biden says he's after in this country? And Congressman Garamendi, let's start with you.
Not at all. We have to hold everybody accountable for their misdeeds, whether they're a 5-year-old kid that's acting out in kindergarten or a president that incited a riot, incited an insurrection. He did that. That is what the House of Representatives has charged him with. Keep in mind that an impeachment from the House of Representatives is very similar to an indictment by a grand jury. The Senate's going to take this up in the next couple of weeks, maybe the next 3 weeks, and there'll be a trial, and the president will have an opportunity to defend himself. But using the words of Kevin McCarthy, shortly after the insurrection, after the riot, after the trashing, the storming of the Capitol and the trashing of the Capitol by folks that were incited to do so by Trump and other people that are associated with him. We'll see what happens here. McCarthy said he was responsible, and indeed he is.
Well, he has been reversing himself on that a little bit in what he said the last day, but let's get Congressman Mcclintock in on this. What about pushing forward with impeachment at this time when there's a cabinet that has to get confirmed coronavirus relief? Is this something that's working against unity?
Well, of course it is, and I frankly don't understand it. The Democrats have won everything: the presidency, the Senate, the House of Representatives. In a republic, that calls for magnanimity by the victors. Only in a banana republic does it call for vengeance. I can't imagine a more petty, vindictive act than impeaching a defeated president after he's left office. You know, with respect to incitement, if you read what the president actually said, he said and urged the crowd to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard. There's no incitement there. You know, I think the Democrats would do well to recognize that even though Donald Trump's behavior was very unpopular for some good reasons, his policies were very popular and they were very successful in producing the biggest economic expansion in our lifetimes. We had the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years, the lowest poverty rate in 60 years, the strongest wage growth in 40 years because of the tax and regulatory relief that we were able to achieve until we took a wrecking ball to it over COVID. So I think that if we're going to go forward together as a nation, we need to look at the policies that have worked and worked well. And so far, the Biden administration seems to be moving very quickly away from those policies.
That's just not the case, Tom. I wish you would take a serious look at what was actually done. The Climate Paris Agreement is extremely important. Let's face reality here. We have a very serious climate problem, and it has to be addressed. We have to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and we can do that in a way that would create thousands of millions of very good paying jobs with renewable technology, new energy grids, moving to electric vehicles. All of those things are part of what we must do. The Climate Paris Agreement puts us back in line with the rest of the world. And we've joined the World Health Organization once again so that we would have an opportunity to benefit from the information that other countries have developed with regard to this pandemic. We have to deal with this pandemic worldwide. Trump tried to do it only in America, dumped it on the local governments, dumped it on the state with no national program other than the vaccine. That was successful, and for that we are grateful. But what do you do once you have the vaccine? Can you administer it? Can you get it out there? No, it's not there. And in fact, most big cities in this nation, including many in California, are running out of vaccine. They're not going to be able to continue their programs. Last summer, Trump turned down 500 million doses that were offered to the United States. He turned it down. And now we're scrambling to try to find enough vaccine to vaccinate our population. Let's just face reality. The last year has been a horrible year for America and terrible national leadership. We do need unity moving forward. And Tom and I would invite you and the Republicans to work with us on a major COVID relief bill, which we will soon have the president put
Congressman
before Congress.
Congressman Garamendi, we got to get Congressman Mcclintock in here for some response before we run out of time.
Go for it, Tom.
Yeah, thank you. John, I've heard you making these promises of green jobs for 20 years now in California, and the result is we have the highest effective poverty rate in the nation and among the nation's highest energy prices. The Paris Accords is expected to cost our economy trillions of dollars over the next decade. It places us in a terrible economic disadvantage to countries like China that are not held to those accounts for the next decade or so. With respect to COVID vaccinations, California ranks 48th of the 50 states in the rate of distributing vaccines. West Virginia is first with 72% of vaccines received. California is at 37% as of this morning. That's simple incompetence, and all the money in the world won't solve that problem. And finally, I think it's time that we recognize as major peer-reviewed study out of Stanford University this week, as well as a separate study out of the University of Denmark this last week, showed the lockdowns have not slowed the spread of the virus.
Congressman,
The genuine relief for the lockdowns is to end the lockdowns.
Congressman, we've got to break it there. I'm so sorry about that. Great discussion this morning. We'll definitely have to have you back.
Good
we appreciate
working with you, Thomas.
all that you had to share. Thank you so much.
Thank you.